Hello, welcome to Revive and Rise. I'm your host, Melody Parrish, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today. So now the month of June begins. I can't believe it. Half the year's over already. But for the month of June, our theme is going to be strength and resilience. And I'm going to talk about how to build resilience and strength. I'm going to talk about practices that I have done and things that I've learned and picked up along my healing journey. I think it's important for us to talk about healing. It's important for us to talk about, our feelings and our emotions. It's important for us to recognize those things about us and to love and explore those different parts of us. The only way that we can grow is to learn, and the only way that we can learn is to grow. So today I want to talk about being open and being open to new things. I think it's so important to be open to new possibilities, new practices, new ideas, new cultures, to be open to new perspectives about ideas. I think it's just very important, and we need to learn how to practice this because it is a practice. Being open is a practice. You have to make space for being open, and you have to make space for these practices. I think it comes from being curious, and we always have to be curious about things and not judgmental. We have to learn things and grow, and you can't do that without curiosity, and you can't do that with judgment. When you see something new or get curious about something, it's not a good practice to just automatically say, I can't do that, or I would never think like that. I would never do these things. Remember, those kind of words that are just so one-sided, that are so restricting, we need to learn how to not use those. The always and the never. We need to learn how to be more open and to just remove those words and those ideas from our brains because they're so restrictive. We need to learn that new things, when we try new things, we're trying something new. So it's not going to be perfect the first time or the second time, or maybe it's not going to be perfect the 100th time. And that's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. Those things are okay. That's when we learn. That's when we grow. And I had to learn that because I just thought that failing was just the worst thing ever. I thought that mistakes were detrimental. And I had to, through my healing journey, I had to learn that those are the times that we grow the most. Those are the times that we learn the most. And, just by being open to things and trying to learn from our mistakes instead of just ridiculing ourselves and being so negative to ourselves, that's a challenge. It was a challenge for me. It's still a challenge for me. But I'm learning how to do it, and I'm trying to grow. these points, Brene Brown, who I absolutely love to listen to, she talks about how these moments, we're down in the arena. And she talks about how we're down there on the ground of the arena. And that's very important. That's when you learn your most is, if I could explain that feeling of failure and that feeling when I make a mistake, that would be me face down in the arena, just like Brene says. And so it's important to make space for these moments and be able to reflect on these moments that we're face down in the arena, to be able to make space and learn. And that means making space for curiosity. I love, love, love children because children are so curious. And I feel like as we're growing into adults, we lose that curiosity and we stop asking questions. We stop wanting to learn more. And it's so sad, I feel like. We get caught up in the struggles of life and in the way of life, and we get caught up in work and in all of these things that we don't take the time and make the space for our curiosity and to question things. I grew up in a time where you didn't question things. You never ever questioned authority. You never questioned someone that was older than you. You never questioned people that had authority. People like your boss or your teacher or different things of that nature. You just never questioned them. And I took that into my adulthood. I took that practice into my adulthood, and I'm learning that is really a wrong way to think and a wrong way to behave. We need to question everything. We need to stop trying to control curiosity, but let it run wild. Let it run wild and let us learn things. Either way, when we question everything, we'll either know the answer and know that answer is constant and that answer is true because it's proven over and over and over, and there's evidence that we've seen, that we've experienced, that we've heard, that we've done. There's evidence to know that answer is constant. Or we'll find out something new. We'll find out something, a different answer. And sometimes we find out that we were mistaken in the way we were thinking, that, what we thought was true, what we thought was real wasn't. But we find out something different. Not better or worse, just different. And, I've picked up several practices that have taught me so much. And one of them is meditation. And I keep saying, and I can't say enough about the power of the pause. I like to call it that, the power of the pause. And it is a meditation. I like to say the power of the pause because it's limitless. Some people have just a fraction of time. But that can be used as a pause, as a moment that we can meditate and discover something about ourselves or about others, or about the world we live in, something that is a moment that we can discover new ideas, new beliefs, new possibilities. It may just be 1 minute, 2 minutes, just a fraction of time that we can just stop everything, stop our minds from wandering, just focus on one thing. And, I hear people all the time when we're talking about meditation and we're talking about that practice and the practice of the pause, that we're saying, that they say, well, I just don't have time. Yes, you do. Because you're in control. Just take 1 minute, 60 seconds. Everyone has that 1 minute. And just pause. Dive deep within yourself. Dive deep around something you want to discover, something that you haven't thought about before. And that can be an idea, a practice, that can be something with you, with your emotions, that can be a desire you have. That can be anything. It can be anything because our curiosity is wild and free, and we limit it. We put that limiting factor in. We put that limiting factor on our time as well. And so just take that moment, take that pause, and just calm yourself. Just stop and think about something, whatever it may be. You have control over your mind. You have control over your mind wandering. It takes practice, and you build up that control of your mind. You build up that practice. But start with 1 minute. As many of you, if you've listened to my podcast before, I frequently talk about how I did that and how I started, with 1 minute. It was so difficult, but I started with 1 minute, and then it became a daily practice. That 1 minute daily I would do. And then that 1 minute turned into 2 minutes, turned into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour. I can meditate for an hour, 2 hours. 2 hours I've meditated before, and that has been the longest time I've meditated strictly using the power of the pause. But it's a learned practice. You can do it, but you have to do it. You have to take that first step, because only you are in control of you. You're not in control of other people, but you're in control of yourself. That's all you're in control of. That's all you can change is yourself. You can't change other people. They have to want to change. But you can change yourself. And we have to understand that. And we have to do that. And it's a practice, and it takes a commitment. It takes a commitment to yourself. It takes a commitment to your openness and what you want to learn, what you want to change about yourself, what you want to change about your environment, or what you want to change about situations. You want to learn more. You want to change ideas. You want to investigate. You want to research these things. So take that minute and try something new or learn something new, read something. A quote or a sentence or a moment of somebody else's time and somebody else talking to you can change your perspective, can change your ideas, can make you curious for more. And we can learn different cultures, but you need to be open to it and want to learn and want to see things differently. And so when I talk about that, I talk about meditation. Also, you'll frequently hear me talk about my time at the Shifa Clinic there in Charleston, South Carolina. You'll hear me talk about things that I learned from my time there. I started volunteering there during the COVID quarantine. And I started volunteering there because I had a need. I had a need to be helpful. That's just part of who I am. That's just how I'm wired. I help people. I try my best to take care of those that I care about, that I love. I try to, if I see a problem, if I see somebody struggling, I try and take care of them. I try and help them. That's just me. And in the quarantine, I thought, how can I be helpful? And so I joined this Facebook group of just people around Charleston, just talking about ways to volunteer, talking about ways to help our community. And I saw this desire from the clinic, and this need that the clinic, that their food pantry needed help of volunteers delivering food to people. It wasn't safe at that time to be in big crowds. It wasn't safe in that time to be in large groups of people, because we didn't know how COVID was spread, and we didn't understand really what was going on. But we knew people were hungry, and we knew people needed food, but they couldn't get to grocery stores. Maybe they had just lost their job and they couldn't afford the gas to get to a food bank or a grocery store, and they needed food. Maybe they were elderly or immunocompromised and they were at risk. And so the Shifa Clinic their food pantry was asking for volunteers to go and deliver food to these people. And I said, I can't do much, but I can go and I can take food to those that are hungry, because I know that I don't like to be hungry. I know that when I'm hungry, I like to eat something. I'm sure these people will too. I'm sure they don't want to be hungry either, and they need food. So I went to the Shifa Clinic, and I remember the first thing I saw was the ICNA Relief logo, and it says Muslims for Humanity. And I looked at it and I said, you know what? I want to learn more about Muslims. I want to learn what this means, Muslims for Humanity. And so I was so excited about learning about other people and about another religion and about practices that maybe they had. I wanted to learn more. And so I go in and I get a list of names that they had received at the clinic. They spent hours grouping these names together because of the address. And so that the person that was delivering the groceries, the food, they would not have too hard of a time finding these addresses and finding these places to deliver this food because it was all within the same area. And so you would take this list of people, usually about 10 or so, and you would go to those communities and go to those areas and just drop the food on the porch. So you would knock on their door to get their attention, and then you would drop the food box on their porch. And, when you walked away, the people usually opened their door and they would usually wave at you or say thank you or, something of that nature. And this grew into a practice where, because I loved it so much, and I loved being around these people so much, the people that came to the clinic, that would eventually come to the clinic, I should say, correcting myself, the staff of the clinic became like my family. Each one of them, if it was the front desk, people that worked at the front desk, if it was the doctors, if it was the people in the food pantry and the volunteers, they just became part of my family. And so I would volunteer there a great deal of time. I would give a great deal of time during the day, several hours. And I would do that up to 8 hours. Usually my practice began and grew into an 8-hour day. I would get there, when they opened, and I would be there when they closed. And I would go to weekend events that they would have. If they had like food giveaways or their other various events that they would give out, hygiene products or provide medical care, general medical care to people in the community. And that one decision to learn more about the Muslim community changed my life forever. And I learned so much from these individuals, from the people that I met there. I learned so much and felt so much love and concern. I often say, I grew up in the church, and I went to a college where we had to take Bible courses. So I've had 2 semesters of the Bible, one the New Testament, one the Old Testament. So I'm familiar with this, right? I'm familiar with Christianity, and that is my chosen religion. I like to refer to it as a Jesus follower. That's what I generally. I don't like referring to it as Christianity, because that's gotten to be more of a religious practice, and I feel like I'm more of a spiritual person. So I feel like I'm a Jesus follower. I want to do and I want to do the things and look at the world as Jesus did when he was on earth. And I wanted to learn more, and I always say that this Jesus follower learned more about being human from the Muslim community. It took the Muslim community to teach this person that grew up in church, that always went to church, humanity. They taught me humanity. They taught me what it was to be human, what it was to see people as human beings. I learned that from the Shifa Clinic and from each staff member there, from each volunteer, from each person that was coming to receive care, to receive medical care, to receive food from the food pantry. Those things I learned, and it never would have happened. I never would have gotten those experiences or gotten that love and concern, and I never would have learned so much if I had not been curious, if I had not done that, if I had not made that decision. Being open and being open to new things and being open to possibilities and being open to practices, it's something great. And it's something that we need to practice. Even being open to self-care and to learning about yourself and to loving yourself. You know, when I was thinking about being open and what I was going to talk about, that came to mind. And for a long time, I had no idea what self-care was, what self-love was, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still learning about that. It's still something that I don't fully understand. But I have this friend, and this moment came to mind. I have this friend that has such a positive influence, such a positive presence. You know, she thinks about everyone else. She takes care of everyone else. She takes care of animals. She takes care of people. She takes care of coworkers. She takes care of everyone in her surrounding community. But she has such a presence and gives off such positive vibes, even when she's angry, even when she's agitated or irritated or frustrated, annoyed. You know, even when she's feeling those things, sad, mad, she still gives off that positive presence. And she has a practice that, like, I don't know, I don't remember right now if it's weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, but she has a practice where she gets her nails done. She goes and gets a manicure. She told me that was the one thing that she does for herself. She takes care of everyone else and gives and gives and gives so much. But she has one thing that she does for herself. And she leaves that space for that one thing, that manicure. She leaves that space and she leaves that openness for that one thing. And when she told me that, it helped me understand more about self-care. It helped me understand more about self-love And I'm so grateful for that exchange that we had in that moment. And that's what I'm saying. It's just things like that, moments like that. Because I've thought about that a lot, and I'm like, do I do that for myself? Do I? And it began a discovery within myself of things that, ways that I care about myself. And if I do that, when I do those things, and how I do those things. So it was really a good one of those moments for me, and I'm so grateful. But also, openness, my practice for myself is going outside, being in nature, seeing the beauty of this country, seeing the beauty of this world. And when I say that, I've been so incredibly lucky and with so many opportunities. And I know that. I've gotten to see so many different beautiful and rich cultures, and I've seen so many different places, and I know that, and I've seen that. But when I talk about seeing open fields and being in wide open spaces, I love it. That's my jam. Being in these open spaces where you can see for miles, and I love that because it reminds me of freedom. It reminds me of the vastness of this world, the vastness of this country, the vastness that we have, of the opportunities that we have, the expansive way that hope presents itself, endless possibilities that we have in our lives, if we'll just notice it, if we'll just pay attention, if we'll just be awake and living in the moment, we'll see these things. And so I love going to places that are wide and open. If anyone knows me, they know I love bodies of water. I just have to be around water. I have to be near a river or near a lake. But most of all, I love the ocean. And the reason that I love the ocean is because there's such an unobstructed view. You can look for miles. You can see for miles, and there's nothing but ocean and water and sky. And I think about the freedom that holds, and I think about the endless possibilities that present themselves. I think about the wildness of our curiosity and the wildness of our discoveries and of learning and growing. It just makes me so happy to be in a wide open space. And now I've been in the Midwest for a while, and I'm in the Midwest for quite often, and they have the most amazing thing. I just love it. They have fields, and they have usually, it's different crops and different things, but I love cornfields. I love the rich green color of cornfields. I love that the plants are so tall. I love the way that the light and the sun and the moon just reflect off of those green corn stalks, or whatever you call them, and the leaves of the plants. I just love it. And the reason I love it is because it symbolizes freedom to me, and it reminds me that I can when I feel like that I can't. I used to love, I still love riding down the road and seeing all these fields, all these places that are just so wide and so open. And now I've found, because I've been around for a while here in the Midwest, but I've found specific cornfields that I can just stop and take that pause, the power of the pause. I can look and I can be reminded that I can when I feel like I can't. I can be reminded of that freedom. I can be reminded of that vastness, and I can be reminded of all the possibility that awaits me. And I love it. You know, some people feel like they're stuck. When I'm talking about freedom and I'm talking about openness, those are ideas. I feel like those are feelings that we get, and there's the feeling of freedom. It's not a place. I feel like it's more of a state of mind, more of an idea, more of a perspective that we have. That's freedom. Some people feel like they're stuck. And by feeling stuck, there's two different ways to feel stuck. And one of these ways is mentally. We feel like we can't get out of this mental situation that we're in. We feel like we can't get out. We can't move on. We can't grow. We feel like we're just stuck. And we don't have the freedom because of whatever reason. The other way that we can feel like we're stuck is that we feel like we're stuck in an environment, in a place. Maybe we've lived in the same town for our entire lives. I never left South Carolina until recently, when I began to travel and I began to get out into the world and get out into different places. And now that I'm a traveling histotech, we'll just say that's a medical lab worker for simplicity's sake. But now that I do that, I get to go to different places and live for a few months, 3 months, 6 months, but that's a freedom in itself too. So maybe people feel like they're not able to do that. So there's two different freedoms. I know I felt like for a long time that I was in chains for both of those freedoms. I felt like I couldn't mentally escape situations. There was always something that I needed to do. There was always something that I needed to try and control. There was always something. there was a mentality that I couldn't. There was a mentality that I wasn't able to. There was a mentality that I was broken and that I was incapable of getting out of that mentally stuck place, getting out of that situation that I had myself in, that I found myself in. So I did feel stuck that way. I also felt stuck physically. I felt like I couldn't leave. For some time, that was because I didn't financially have the ability. Especially when I was in my 20s, I was just starting out. I was, trying to figure out life. I couldn't leave. I had to stay, and I had to work. I had to earn money so that I could live, so that I could survive. So there are people that feel that way, and I have felt that. I'm here to say that I have felt those I have felt that lack of freedom. I've felt like I could not do this. I could not do that. And looking out into wide open spaces like that just reminded me and just made me understand that I could break those chains, and that doesn't mean that you have to move somewhere or go to a different physical place. Having freedom can mean you can have freedom in your community. You can have freedom in your tight little space. I'm talking about the openness of love. I'm talking about the openness that you feel and the freedom that you feel in a state of mind. You can stay right in your house and never see anybody but your family and never do anything but work at the same place for 30 years. And you can still have freedom. And you can still have a wonderful, fulfilling life. You can still have that richness that comes with that freedom. Freedom is personal, and freedom has seasons. There are seasons of freedom. And if you stop and listen to yourself, if you stop and start to understand yourself, you'll know when another season is going to start. You'll know when a different type of freedom will present itself in your life, and you'll recognize it. But you have to take that pause, because otherwise that moment will slip right away and you won't recognize it. If we don't pause and we don't look and we don't pay attention, then that moment, that fraction of time will slip away. It's why time is so important. Time is the most important thing that we have. So we need to pay attention. We need to stay in the moments of life. It's so important to reflect on things, and I will never, ever, ever make that look small. Self-reflection, reflection about life is so important. And many times that's what we need to do in the power of the pause, in those pauses that we take daily or whenever we can. We need to reflect on things. We need to reflect on those good moments. We also need to reflect on those moments that are not so good so that we can learn and we can teach ourselves not to do that again, or a new way of doing it, a new perspective, a new idea. We need to take that pause. But we need to listen and we need to pay attention. We need to have our eyes open. You know, we need to listen to our souls, or you call it different things, intuition. You'll have that intuition. You'll have that just feeling, in your gut. Whatever you want to call it, I love Glennon Doyle, and I love to listen to her talk, and I love to read her books. I've read her books so many times, and every time I pick up her book and read it, and I've read them and I've listened to them on the audiobooks at least 20 times between the two. And every time that I pick it up, I notice something different. It's like her books are fluid, and they teach me something different every time. Every time I listen, every time I read. Between her, Glennon Doyle and Brené Brown, every time I learn something new. And Glennon Doyle calls this your knowing. She calls it your knowing, and you have to listen to your knowing. And if you want to, and I would suggest looking that up and researching it and learning from her how to connect to what she calls your knowing. But you can call that whatever you want to. Your intuition, some people say that God is speaking to them, and some people call it their knowing. She says in one of her books that she has a friend that calls it Sebastian and gives it a name. And you can do whatever you want because it's personal, but we all need to do it. We all need to get in touch with that knowing, that part of our soul that makes us who we are. We need to start getting curious and start asking questions and then diving deep into ourselves to get the answers, because they're there. They're there. They come out in feelings, they come out in emotions, they come out in different ways, but they're there. The answers are there. And that's the power of the pause. That's the beauty of being open to new things, new people, new practices, new possibilities, new ideas, talking to people, learning and growing, learning about ourselves. It's all within us and all within others if we'll just take the moment to learn and to grow and to listen and to pay attention and to look and to just observe. So I want to invite you, those are the practices that I wanted to talk about, and I feel like those are the practices that have built strength in me, that have built resilience in me on my healing journey. And I'd like to share those with you, and I'd like to challenge you to try. Just try it. You know, if you don't like it, then don't do it. If it's not a practice that works for you, then find something else, because we don't all respond to the same thing. We have to do what works for us. That's what works for me. And I hope, and my hope is that by sharing that practice and those ideas, that will work for you. But if it doesn't, it's okay. And maybe try something different. Just get curious. Just try and learn so that we can grow from each other. It's why we need each other. It's why we need to experience new things and to see new cultures, to see new places, to learn new ideas and perspectives. We need each other so that we can grow and so that we can learn. So I challenge you to try the power of the pause. Try living in the moment. Try paying attention, because when you do, you learn so much and you get so many answers and so many ideas. And as I look upon my life, I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of time to reflect on myself and to reflect on those moments that I grabbed hold of and I took that possibility that was presented to me and I said yes. Sometimes I said no, and that was good too. Both things are good. Both answers are good. Yes and no. We need to learn from both of them. But we need to be open to both of them. And as I reflect on those times, both the yes and the no, then I can see the richness of my life grow. And so by sharing that with you, I invite you and I challenge you to try that practice. And I want to thank you for joining us today and for listening. And I hope that I've said something to spark something in you. And I'll always say that just remember, whatever you're going through, wherever you're at in your healing journey, in life, wherever you are, you do not have to suffer alone. Thank you.